This video will be about how soluble substances are in water. Specifically, we're going to talk about solids. One way to express how much you can dissolve is by the mass of the solute, the thing you're dissolving, divided by 100 grams of water. So this is a graph that I adapted from the book. So it shows several things. One is that sodium chloride solubility is pretty much not affected by temperature. It's about 40 grams of salt that you can dissolve in 100 grams of water, no matter what the temperature is. And so hot water does not dissolve more salt. So if that's the reason you're gargling warm water rather than cold, well, that's not going to work. However, it may feel better. But in general, most solids are more soluble at higher temperatures, and that's because as the particles separate, the order of the universe increases, and that's called entropy. And so entropy definitely favors things getting mixed up. So, the remaining two do show this effect. Glucose is much more soluble in very hot water. So if you have sugar that's crystallized out of your honey, all you have to do is heat it up and it'll redissolve. Sodium nitrate, for example, also is very soluble even in freezing, at the freezing point of water, very, very cold water. You can dissolve about 70 or 80. So, so one question you might be asked, for example, with solubility is, will 50 grams of sodium nitrate dissolve in 50 grams of water? At 0 Celsius. Okay, so we just look at our chart, and first of all we have to figure out, well, if 50 grams dissolves in 50 grams of water, then if we have 100 grams of water, then more will have to be dissolved. It have to be 100 grams. And so we look at our chart and we say, is this number actually above or below 100 grams per 100 grams? And the answer is no. This number is probably about 80. So solubility okay. However, there are tricks that you can do to make sure that you can dissolve even more than is possible at equilibrium. So for example, anything below the line is unsaturated. That's to say you can dissolve some more. So for example, if we had taken 50 grams in 100 grams of water, we're still below our limit of 80. And that means we can dissolve 30 more before no more will start to dissolve. And you know exactly what happens. Any extra you add, just like adding sugar to iced tea, it just falls to the bottom. It doesn't dissolve. So now if you have exactly that amount, it's called saturated. And if you go above that amount, the extra does not dissolve, but you have dissolved the maximum in the solution anyway. So that's an easy way to create a saturated solution. Just throw a whole bunch in, stir, stir, stir until as much dissolves as it can, and then just remove the solid and you have a saturated solution. If you somehow manage to go above, then you'll have a super saturated solution. And those are kind of tricky to make because, as we just said, you just dump extra in and it won't dissolve. However, what you can do is you can raise the temperature to nearly boiling, and where the sodium nitrate will dissolve maybe 150 grams per liter. Okay, and so you'll have 150 grams dissolved in water, no solid. And then you cool it slowly, and then once it hits this line, solid might start to come out or it might not. And so it's real tricky. In order for particles to come out of solution onto a crystal, to grow the crystal, there has to be a crystal there to grow onto. And so this is an example of this is if you've ever tried to grow rock candy from a sugar solution, you have to have something in there like a string or a stick for the sugar crystals to start growing on. All right, so that's it for solubility. You should understand some of the terms like saturated, supersaturated, and undersaturated or unsaturated, and how to do simple calculations like, will this amount dissolve, and then convert that to the amount out of 100 and see if you're above the line or below the line or on the line.